testing out a new mic. You'll need to let me know how it's working and if it works for this podcast. But I just want to welcome you back to From a Skein podcast. My name is Kristen, and I am known on Ravelry and on Instagram by my handle Knitting Chris. You can find me there. I don't share my Facebook account because that's really just for family things that I use, but you can find me either place, Knitting Chris on Instagram or on Ravelry for knitting things. Although I really have to say I have not been very good about keeping up with keeping any of those things current. So, but thank you for your patience. I think if you've watched the video prior to this one, I explain a little bit about what has kept me from podcasting and what has been such a major life change for me. But I have, through all of this, and I'll try not to do too many eye rolls. I know I do a ton of them. I say, you're going to hear a lot of outside noises, but I will try to, be telling you that I've been knitting through the whole process and the whole year. So I have a lot of finished objects to really catch you up with, and some things that I need to finish personally on them. I'm a great knitter as far as I can plow through a lot of knitted material, but I'm not a great finisher. And so that is what I struggle with. So maybe by doing a podcast and maybe doing it on a regular basis, I will hold myself a little more accountable to do that. I heard you guys all say that you needed me to use a microphone, which I do actually have now. I have a little lapel mic here. It's plugging into my phone camera, which I'm using to record this. So hopefully that will zero in on my voice a little bit more, but you're still going to hear some outside sounds because as soon as I turn this on to record, our relatively quiet road becomes laden with traffic, and you hear a lot of sounds. I do live in the mountain, at the base of a mountain, so there are a lot of outdoor sounds. So enjoy. So what have I been knitting? Every month I have been managing to get out a pair of socks, even in some of the months that were really, really hard. So I'm just going to start with a couple of those, and I'll go through the first quarter of the year, what I did knit as far as socks first. First up, and if you'll just please excuse me as I change them up, I'll put them on my sock blocker so that you can kind of see the details of them. First up is a pair of I call them plain vanilla socks. You're going to see a lot of my hair. That's one of the things that stress and grief has done for me. I normally shed a lot, but I'm actually shedding even more right now. So I'll hold this up so you can see, but there are two of them. This is an old yarn for me, so I pulled out this skein of yarn in January. I thought it was a beautiful color. It's by a dyer that you can no longer purchase from, but she was from Pennsylvania. Her name was Marigold Jen, was the name of her business, and she had a beautiful, yarn business, and her daughter was hobbledehoy, and she dyed fiber. So they used to come to Maryland Sheep and Wool, and so I had gotten some skeins from them, I think there, as well as I believe they sold in Etsy at one time. So I dug a skein of this out. This is a BFL, I believe, nylon blend. It's in the Lady Violet colorway, and I just did a standard, vanilla sock. The only thing I do tend to do a little bit, because I like the way it looks, is I do believe on this one I did an I Have a Partridge heel. And for those of you who, I saw this on Table 10's podcast, which I love those girls. They're from Pittsburgh. They record every week. God bless them. They are always faithful with that. They were talking about that about 2 weeks ago. I Have a Partridge heel is really just a 4 pattern row repeat on the heel flap, and it is really super simple. It's not a paid for pattern. As you know, with any kind of heel flap, normally you would do, my first row is always a knit row. It says slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one all the way across, and then you slip one, purl all the way back. And then the next row, you just alternate. So if you slipped one, knit one the first row, the third row, you're going to knit one, slip one until you get to the end, and then you're going to knit one, slip one, knit two. So it's super easy. If you have any questions, drop a comment and I would be happy to, help you with it. But it's super easy to do. It just makes it look a little bit fancier, and I think that's something that I really enjoy. So these were January socks. I'm gonna, if you can just bear with me as I take them off here, I will kind of put the next ones on. These are done in a wool and nylon blend as well. These are also done with an eye of a partridge heel. I kind of just substitute that heel, and you can do whatever you want. You can substitute whatever heel and whatever toe you like on socks that you want to knit. It won't matter. You're the boss of your knitting. You do what you like, and over the years I've just found that I like it to be like that. These are knit a pair of socks in the rye sock pattern. It's by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so I'm not giving it away. It just has a nice little garter stitch kind of pattern that goes throughout the the leg of the sock. And then again, I just added an eye of the partridge heel. I probably did 24, knit 2, purl 2, ribbing at the top, and then I just did a standard toe. Now, the boss of your knitting. Usually I keep track of rows on my socks and how many I've done, like pattern repeats or rows here, and I keep track with a counter that I use on my phone, a free knit counter. So as many of you know, February was really a tough month for me, without going into a lot of things. We lost my daughter Lauren and our daughter Lauren, and so I wasn't paying attention. I was just needing to knit for the sole purpose of keeping my hands busy and my mind a little bit quiet. So the legs, they're completely two different lengths. Who's gonna know? Who's gonna know? The yarn is beautifully dyed. It's by Stitch and by Yarn. I apologize that I don't know what exactly the colorway is. It's something like Poolside or Sea or something like that. Something summery. They're very pretty, light blue with nice, she's great at speckling. I find her yarn is very soft. I think it's going to wear well. I'm not sure how I'm gonna wear them. I'm not sure yet. Kind of a little bit of a bit more difficult thing. So moving on to March, I decided it was time to do some stripy socks. Usually when I do a stripy sock, lots of people do patterns with stripy socks. I kind of just keep them pretty plain because I like to let the yarn do its work and show off. So these are March's socks. I did switch it up a little bit here. This is the socks I knit, for March. I'll get them straightened out a little bit there. This is just a vanilla sock with a fish lips kiss heel. So that, this is a vanilla sock. Well, this whole part is. The heel is actually a paid for pattern, and that, I think I paid $1 for it years ago. Have gotten my money's worth from it. It is a short row heel type that is really pretty smart. So I did it. What happens with the short row heel is that it kind of keeps the continuity. Well, it keeps the continuity of your stripes. So if you have a pattern that you don't really want to mess up with, doing this, or you have something in your dyeing or whatever, you can use this, and it's great. This yarn is Scrumptious Pearl, so she's a Canadian dyer, and this one is the Straight Me Up base in the Starstruck colorway. And I'm not sure what this was, some kind of mini that came with it. I thought it just matched very nicely. The mini has a little bit of sparkle. I don't know if you can see it in there. It's showing up a little bit, has a little bit of stellina in it, so that's actually pretty cool. But these are March's socks. So we're down to one last pair for the first quarter. And these are a little bit of a pattern sock, so try to switch it up a little bit, keep things a little interesting. These are the Sugar Glazed sock. They have a pretty little, I guess, lace pattern. You could extend it down the foot. I just chose not to because sometimes that annoys me if I am wearing, depending on what shoes I'm wearing. But these are the Sugar Lace socks. They're knit in beehive yarns in her Audrey base. I believe that's a 75-25, and in her Nougat colorway sock set. So it came with this beautifully, just very lightly speckled colorway, and then it came with a coordinating heel and toe. Again, I did here the Eye of the Partridge heel, and here you can see it a little bit better because the yarn isn't as dark and it's not as variegated there. It's just slightly tonal, and I just think it gives such a pretty pattern to the heel. And the way these are done, you mirror them. So you know, this is a free pattern actually on Ravelry, so I would highly suggest it. It's nice. It goes along with most times when you cast on the sock, cast on 60, 64, 68, it does kind of go along with that kind of a heel or stitch count. I usually, for my socks, I usually cast on 60 and then go down to 56 because I am a new loose knitter, and that will give me the size that I need to fit my leg and my foot. So, but these are the Sugar Glazed socks, and that pretty much is my first quarter of sock knitting. So thanks for hanging out there for that. What else was I working on? Of course, it wouldn't be, I don't know, kind of strange. It would be kind of strange around here if I didn't have something like this on the hook, I guess I would say. This is a granny square blanket. This is just, again, cast on in the middle, and just keep granny squaring out till you're done. Use up your yarn or you're at the size that you need. And then I always just do this isn't like a paid for pattern, I always just do a row of single crochet, and then I do a scalloped edge border. Did that with the same yarn. This was actually Karen macchiato cakes, and I believe this was in, no, it was really a strange color. I think it was buy one get one free when I bought it at Michael's. It's a wool and acrylic blend, but it's a washable wool. I think it's Atomic Aqua, that's what it is. It's a beautiful shade. I don't know if it's blowing it out. But anyway, I crocheted this. I'm going to be sending it off to a little girl that has my daughter that passed away, her disease. So I'm just going to be popping that in the mail with some other little things for her. She just recently came out of the hospital, and I wanted to just spread some Lauren love. So I also, in this time frame, got another great niece. So I crocheted for her granny square blanket, which by the way, these things just really fly for me, and I find them to be just a nice palette cleanser sometimes from knitting. This is just done in, I believe, the Sun Gold colorway, and I'm not sure which brand it is, but it's just a plain colored granny square. It's a pretty good size. This one's a little bit bigger than the Atomic Aqua one, but you can see you just start in the middle with a little, you know, little thing in the middle, little crochet, and you just keep going around and around until it gets to be the size. I think I bought a real giant skein of this, so there weren't a ton of ends to weave in. Again, I just did a single crochet, and then I did a scallop border for it, so it was perfect. I like to do, if I'm making blankets, even for babies, I like to do them in colors that may not be really pastel or traditional colors that you would think of. So that's kind of why I choose them, just to be a little bit different. I feel like everybody else kind of does that pastel color. So what else have I been knitting? I'm knitting some garments. I'm moving into my garment era. I did finish the one that I'm wearing. I will stand up to show you. It is camisole number 11 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit it to wear to Maryland Sheep and Wool and Yarn Centric back in May of this year. I used Sandnes Garn in their Tin Line base, which is, I believe, a cotton viscose kind of blend. I held it double. So it's a fingering weight yarn. I held it double to kind of get a DK weight gauge. I believe that, where was the B? I believe it was called for a DK weight in silk, and I just didn't know about how silk would wear for me, and I didn't know how I would feel about it. Turns out the Tin Line that I did knit this in was very splitty. In holding it double made it even more so. So it just took a little longer than I probably would have liked it to. I think I knit it on a size 6. The other thing with the splitting and holding it double, it does snag so very easily. So I can see that I'm going to have to just be very careful and possibly, fix some snags with a crochet hook. I technically usually, I'll stand up so I can show you this. It is, I believe I knit the size 2 or 3. I made several modifications. This is a tank, and you start the way that it is a paper pattern, but you start knitting in the back, and then you knit the front to a certain place, and then you join, and then you knit in the round for the bottom. I omitted probably at least one repeat of like a kind of a repeat of 10 rows or something like that, 9 rows, and still had cut out a good portion of the underarm here before I joined. It has, and I will stand up and show you. So it's pretty, and normally I would wear it like tucked in like this a little bit, but it has good length on it. Has great length on it. Comes down here. It has a beautiful side seam detail that I just absolutely love, where it kind of comes here, and that's where you really join in the round. It took a lot longer to knit for me than I thought it would, and I don't know, I think that was just me, kind of, I'm not real sure about garment knitting and how to adjust things, and so I'm still learning. I'm still kind of feeling my way. I've knit a couple sweaters, definitely knit baby sweaters, but I'm kind of knitting my way through garments and trying to be gentle with myself a little bit, giving myself a little bit of grace. So would I knit it again? Possibly I might. I don't know. I would make some more modifications. I probably would even, I would knit it in a different yarn. I would probably knit it like a smaller size probably. I would probably knit the 2 instead of the 3, size 3. So The other garment that I've been knitting, which seems like forever, and again, it's no fault of the pattern. I think it was just the time period that I was knitting it in. So before I let myself start on another sweater, I told myself, and none of my ends are woven in on this, so it's a hot yarn mess. I told myself I would have to finish this one before I could start another sweater. This is the Ooey Gooey sweater by Andrea Mowry, and it is a top-down yoke, colorwork yoke cardigan, not cardigan, pullover sweater, and it has some colorwork in the sleeves, and it uses I used Junction Fiber Mill in their Day's End colorway here. And so it goes from this orange to a blue to a purple to almost like a purpley white. So I just managed to use one skein of it for this top part portion, and the colorwork here and the colorwork on this one sleeve. And then I have a second skein. I'm going to probably just pull out the color section that matches sort of this, so that both my sleeves match. You can see that I have this sleeve almost done, still on the needles. I think the only thing it needs yet is a tubular bind off. The other sleeve needs to be knit. I did put it on the needles the other night. I do knit this sleeve on a 9-inch circular. So I believe that I started this out. This is a couple different techniques that I have not done before. So first of all, I'm not a huge sweater knitter. I want to change that. But this started out with the Junction Mill, color changing yarn, and it has some welts here. I've never knit a welt in my life, although the concept is really pretty easy to execute, and it's adds some visual and textural interest for sure. And then this is just kind of a colorwork yoke, which again will be a little bit better after I block it. Blocking does amazing things. And then it just kind of goes down into I did a lot of ribbing at the bottom because I saw that people had done that, and I really, really enjoyed it. Now I did because these colors of the skein, the main body is North Bay fiber, and there's sport weight yarn, and I believe it is, I don't know if it's a Heritage or if it's their, I can't remember exactly what blend it is, but it's a sport weight. It's pretty, it's a nice woolly wool. It's in their, I believe, salmon colorway, which, normally not a pink girl, but here we are, pink, orange, and I really have enjoyed it, but it has been very difficult. I was knitting on it when my daughter was very sick, so it's been harder for me to pick up to finish. So anyway, I have just this past week knit this sleeve, so I plan to knit the other sleeve, and then it's going to need a good blocking. Now it looks kind of short, but it actually does fit, and I think in general, when I have done sweaters, what I've noticed is that they grow the most for me in length. So I did make it a little bit shorter, and I made the sleeves a little bit shorter as well, because I wasn't sure if I wanted like 3/4 length sleeves, or if I wanted them to really come down the whole way. So I'm completely fine with just a 3/4 bracelet length sleeve. I kind of just put little markers here for every certain things that I did there. So I'm happy with this sweater. I will be happier yet when it's off my needles, because it's been a long time on them, and I think it's going to be good. I think I'm going to enjoy wearing it, and I think even though some of the memories surrounding knitting it are a little hard, I think it's going to be a very special sweater for me. And I don't know if that happens for you when you take your knitting along on a vacation, or you just really remember what you were doing, especially if it's a longer term project, when you were knitting it. It happens for me. So I'm really happy to have this, and I will be happy when it is finished. I have my next sweater planned, so stay tuned for that. And I have a lot of other things to show you, but I just didn't want this one to be super long. One of the other things that I found when my mind couldn't concentrate so much on knitting was that I got my spinning wheel back out again. And I have to say that it's those Table 10 girls. So if you don't watch the Table 10 podcast, you should. And they got me spinning again. So I actually did spin a skein. I kind of joined Nest, their fiber club, for a couple months, and I did this skein, which there's a whole lot going on here. It is their Polworth in the colorway Smitten, and it's about 288 to 300 yards of a DK weight sport yarn, and it's all over the place. But it's my first spin in a couple years. I spin on a Lundrum DT, which is great. I have, a regular flyer, and then I have a jumbo flyer so I can ply on it. It took me a lot to get back into the drafting and just different things, and so I wasn't super consistent the whole way through. I think there are some projects out there that let you knit with your hand spun where you can still use it. I just finished up one project that I hope to share with you soon with another skein of my hand spun previously, and I feel like that was a great use of hand spun, and it used it in a way that could really show off the the yarn. So I was really happy to get back into this, so much so that in Maryland I purchased an e-spinner. So I have yet to really get that out and work with it, but I really am looking forward to that. And I purchased a Daedalus, I believe Starling, and so I'm actually really excited to get that out and start spinning on that. So those are some things that you can see coming from me in the near future. So I just want to say thanks for hanging in over these months of silence, and thanks for sticking with it. I hope that you're enjoying something fun as the summer comes to a close. I hope you're planning a lot of great fall projects. I'd love to hear what you're interested in knitting. And I hope to be back soon with some more things that I've finished, some things I'm looking forward to working on, both spinning and knitting. And I hope to talk to you very, very soon. Again, thank you so much. I hope that you have a great day, and happy knitting.